Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture of literature. I am Adrian Fort, but I've been called worse.
And I'm Dalton Gentry, and I like to interrupt people. How are you?
I've never been called that bad.
That bad, huh?
Never been called Dalton Gentry.
It's a fine name. It's a unique name. I'll take it. Anyway, what are we here for, Adrian?
We're here for Yoon Book News.
My favorite segment of the month, Book News, where we talk about...
You really don't like these videos.
I don't like book news.
Why don't you like these?
I don't like book news.
We struggle through with the books themselves. You don't like these videos at all.
I don't.
You hate doing the birthdays.
So, the way I prep book news is every time I sit down and start looking at the books that are coming out this month, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
There's never anything on there that I'm like, that looks like something I'd enjoy reading.
And every time you recognize something, it's because it was already published.
Yeah, it's coming out in paperback. Yeah. Every now and then there's a gem, but it's very rare. Then I go to book festivals, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a great festival. Chicago, that's not far from here. Not a single person I recognize is going to be on the panels.
Yeah.
Nobody I care to hear talk.
Yeah.
And then we just talk about birthdays, which you seem to like, and people seem to like, and I'm fine with that, but it does nothing for me. I don't know my parents' birthdays. I don't understand them.
It's just interesting to, I think what it does for me is it is the random element of bringing up an author again, right? Like, there's some people on here that I haven't thought about since I read them.
And it's nice to, every now and then we get on a bit of a tangent, we start to chat a little bit about the author, and that's good stuff there, but I don't know, man.
You just hate these videos.
I just don't like book news. But I'll smile, and I'll do it anyway.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. So we're going to talk about book news. We're going to talk about things coming out first.
My makeup may be flaking.
Your makeup may be flaking?
Inside my heart is breaking. But my smile still stays on.
The show must go on. I'm so proud of you. June. I've got 3 books that are coming out in June here. 3 books worth talking about.
Man, come on. Do your part of the job here.
Quite literally, look up books coming out in June, tell me I'm wrong. Stephen King has a paper book coming out for a book that he wrote last year.
Paper book?
A paperback for a book that he wrote last year. Whatever. But June 4th, you get Elizabeth Gilbert, City of Girls. This is
Elizabeth
the author.
Gilbert.
That's the one that got me. I looked at him like, why do I know that name? That sounds familiar. From the bookstore days. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. That was a huge book. Obviously, This is going to be a big release as well. I mentioned that we should rewrite Eat, Pray, Love, but we should switch the prey to the other type of prey. I think it would be an interesting book.
I think that we should rewrite Eat, Pray, Love by switching the prey with the other type of prey and putting a comma, Eat, Pray, comma, space, Love, and it would be a book about hunting in England.
I always hear, when you say hunting, I associate I'm from the Midwest. 75% of the people I grew up with are hunters. I don't imagine that about England. I think it's more sophisticated than that. I could be wrong. Don't you get that vibe as well?
No. There's nothing sophisticated about England. But didn't Shakespeare get arrested for poaching?
I'm sure.
Am I wrong about that?
But that was a very different time. Do people in England hunt now? Is that a normal thing? We're going out into the woods to get us a something? I always imagine it's much more for sport. It's not like it is in the United States.
So you mean they take the fox out? Or
the
they take
fox, yeah.
They take the hunting dogs out to get the fox.
There you go. That's the one. That seems more English hunting to me. It's not waking up at 5 a.m. already drunk.
Already smelling like moose piss.
To cover yourself in moose piss and go sit out in the cold, get drunk, and wait. And then brag about it. Anyway, June 4th, also June 4th, Cassandra Clare. She is the author of the Mortal Instruments series. It's a big YA series. I'm sure you're familiar with that. But she is having a book. It is going to be Ghosts of the Shadow Market. Again, not really our readership. Something we're probably not going to be picking up, but that's probably going to be a big one for a lot of people.
Probably something we should pick up.
No. And finally, I have a debut author. He is going to be writing some World War II fiction, some lesser-known World War II stories. Alan Hlad, H-L-A-D, and this is going to be The Long Flight Home. I think that one had some worth out of the ones I was looking at, so I figured I'd give him a little bit of a shout-out for his debut novel.
Okay.
He'll never hear it. Anyway.
You don't know that. We're massive.
We are massive. We've grown so much lately.
We're massive. Pat yourself on the back.
It's all because of book news.
Pat me on the back.
I don't want to pat you on the back. I don't like touching people. Anyway, Do you want to do birthdays? Do you want to talk about book things that are happening?
Do the book things while I get over the fact that you don't touch me.
I don't like touching people. Anyway, book things.
You used to touch me.
BookCon is going to be in New York City.
When we started.
June 1st and June 2nd. And because we live in the world that we do here, you can go to BookCon in New York City and you can meet John Cena or Alyssa Milano. That's really about it.
Now you're cold and distant.
You done here?
What does Alyssa Milano do recently?
Not a clue. Apparently John Cena wrote a children's book. Last month we established that John Cena is an author. So John Cena hung up the tights and he's out on the book circuit now.
Would you touch John Cena?
No. Mainly because I'm pretty sure he would break my hand.
No one's touching Alyssa Milano.
Anyway. Also, in Chicago, I figure we get one a little bit closer to us, June 8th through June 9th, Printers Row Lit Fest. Unfortunately, not a lot of authors that I'm super crazy to go see. There's no George Saunders there, but it is their 35th year anniversary. 35 years as a literary festival is an accomplishment. So,
You're almost 35.
I turned 29 June 2nd.
You're 29 going on 43.
I'm 29 going on 73 after this week, but no.
I'm 29 going on 73.
You are 29 going on 73. It's a good song.
Is that a real song?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
Sound of Music. You never heard Sound of Music?
No.
Okay.
What is Sound of Music?
Okay. So anyway, my birthday's June 2nd. That's exciting. We should just end this here.
That's interesting. Do you know who else was born June 2nd?
I hope somebody of worth.
In 1840, Dalton Gentry. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fair.
Thomas Hardy.
Ooh, I like Thomas Hardy. I didn't realize
You didn't know you shared a
I
birthday with
didn't know
Thomas
I
Hardy?
shared a birthday with Thomas Hardy.
Really?
The only person who I know shares a birthday with me is Wayne Brady. And I'm not proud of that one.
Stunningly not your doppelganger.
No.
But your doppelganger was born on June 3rd, 1926.
Go on.
Oh, Allen Ginsberg.
Oh, is it Allen Ginsberg?
Yeah,
okay, I'll take that.
You didn't know? Your
For some
doppelganger?
reason, I look uncomfortably like a young Allen Ginsberg. As soon as the hair starts thinning, that's when we know.
On the 6th of June, 1799, Alexander Pushkin was born.
Okay. Not incredibly familiar.
1875, Thomas Mann was born. On the 7th of June, Nikki Giovanni was born in 1943. Are you familiar with Nikki Giovanni?
I am not.
I've read quite a bit of Nikki Giovanni.
Okay. Poet?
Not my favorite.
Poet?
Yes.
Anytime that there's a name that's like,
Let me make sure I do know Nikki Giovanni.
oh, this is great content right
Yeah,
now.
holy moly.
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just blanked on everything.
Usually any time that you bring up a name that is fairly recent, you said born in the 40s, I would call that fairly recent for our readership, and I don't readily recognize them, I assume they're a poet. You read a lot more poetry than I do.
Yeah, Nikki Giovanni's a poet. Holy moly,
Did you have a moment, did you?
I think I had a...
It's okay. Old age hits us all.
Yeah, all of a sudden I couldn't picture Nikki Giovanni, and I was like, is this Nikki Giovanni that I'm imagining? The 10th of June, 1915, Saul Bellow.
No, nothing.
June 13th, 1865. You want to say that one?
William Butler Yeats? Did you want me to read that because I'd recognize that one? It made me feel good about myself?
Sure, we can go with that.
Okay.
On the 14th of June, 1811, Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Okay.
The 16th of June, Joyce Carol Oates, guess the year.
1928.
1938, Dalton.
Joyce Carol Oates.
Don't you put that decade on her.
Joyce Carol Oates.
She's written enough for a woman who was born...
The OG of the literary world, Joyce Carol Oates. You know
She'll
I'm
be
right.
81.
Yeah. And she's been publishing a book a year since what?
And 19 short stories.
Every single year since like 45. Since she decided she could write. Joyce Carol Oates is a treasure. And a household name.
The 19th of June is a big day. What do you want to wager that you don't know the person who was born in 1623?
No, I know that one. I will.
Okay.
That's old enough I should know that one.
Then in 1945, 1623, Blaise Pascal.
Nothing. Sorry.
You wouldn't like to make that wager.
No.
You wouldn't like to make that wager on
Is this
on
a
Pascal.
clever joke that I'm not getting right now?
Oh yeah, I'm clever.
Good for you.
I'm clever.
Moving
baby.
on.
1945, Tobias Wolff. 1947, the 40s, a big decade for June 19th, Salman Rushdie.
Okay.
Friends with Christopher Hitchens, who definitely knew Blaise Pascal.
You're having fun with this, aren't you?
I'm enjoying this. I think this is why I enjoy this show, is because I get to...
You get a toad about all these people that, are huge authors that you've read.
No, not necessarily that I've read, but I get to make weird little links between people.
That's fair.
Like your doppelganger and the guy who shares your birthday, right? I get to do that.
I'm excited that Thomas Hardy shares a birthday with me. Like, I enjoy Thomas Hardy.
I think you'd enjoy Allen Ginsberg more than you admit to.
I've tried Ginsberg.
I think what it is, like I often talk about with Bukowski, is you've got to find the poem
For you.
And that's this little cubby into the artist.
That's a fair statement.
It's a cubby into the manse that is the artist, his or herself.
I'll have to get into some Ginsberg. I realize I talk of him like food. Like, I haven't tried Ginsberg too much.
Yeah, there's the one. Let me see if I can...
I feel like every Ginsberg that I've read, though, has been very underwhelming.
Well, that's the thing. So you can't call Ginsberg underwhelming and like Billy Collins.
I like Billy Collins. He's okay. Billy Collins does good things.
Allen Ginsberg, Supermarket in California. Have you heard this one?
I believe so.
What thoughts I have of you tonight, Walt Whitman. For I walked down the side street under the trees with a headache, self-conscious looking at the full moon.
Don't like it, man.
I am hungry. I am in my hungry fatigue and shopping for images. I went into the Neon Fruits supermarket, dreaming of your enumerations. What peaches and what penumbras.
I've heard it before. I'm not a fan.
I saw you, Walt Whitman, childless, lonely old grubber poking among the meats in the refrigerator and eyeing the grocery boys. I heard you asking questions of each. Who killed the pork chops? What price? Bananas. Are you my angel? I think you'd like...
I need to find a Ginsberg for me.
I think you do.
I'll find one.
June 21st, 1905, Jean-Paul Sartre.
Your French hurts me.
Jean-Paul... Say it.
Jean-Paul Sartre?
Jean-Paul Sartre. 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 Jean-Paul Sartre.
Who's friends with that guy, Camus?
Jean-Paul Sartre.
You good?
Camus.
Camus?
Camus.
Camus.
Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay, we're done here.
All right. The 25th of June, 1903, George Orwell was born. Another person with whom Christopher Hitchens was quite familiar.
So I have a problem with Orwell.
What's that?
I, for no reason whatsoever, confuse him with Orson Welles.
I do the same damn thing.
And if you have not seen Orson Welles sloshed having outtakes about Paul Masson's whiskey...
Or peas.
Do that. Do that right now.
Yeah.
He just looks dead inside. He's got this lean about him, and they're like, and action. He goes, no, Paul Masson. Gorgeous.
The worst part is he's not actually leaning. His body is just constructed in a way that he looks like he's leaning back.
It slays me, and I love it. Anyway.
I do the same damn thing.
Yeah?
In fact, so much so Christopher Hitchens wrote a biography on George Orwell.
Really?
The library at which I spent all of my time when I was in grad school had that book.
Okay.
And in my mind, when I heard that Christopher Hitchens had written that book, I was like, why did Christopher Hitchens write a book about Orson Welles? This doesn't make any sense to me.
And if you compare George Orwell and Orson Welles, they look nothing alike.
Well, that's the thing.
Polar opposites.
So when I was there, I made a point to make my way through some of Hitchens' canon. I went there and I was like, I got to figure out why he wrote about Orson Welles. I pulled that book off the shelf. There's a stunning picture of George Orwell on the cover, and I realized that's not Orson Welles.
That's fair.
These are different people. You won't see this one coming. June 27th, 1880. Helen Keller.
Okay.
I feel bad about myself for making that joke. I feel bad now.
I didn't know how I was supposed to react to it, and honestly, I didn't make the connection until you brought it up. That was stellar.
I feel bad about myself, though.
That was
in my soul.
Stellar. Sometimes you gotta roll with the punches, and sometimes you gotta make the upsetting joke.
Sometimes you gotta know when to hold them. Sometimes you gotta know when to fold them.
Sometimes you gotta walk away. Sometimes you gotta run. But Adrian, you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There's time enough for counting when the dealing's done. I love that song. I'm ashamed right now.
Yeah, I went into that thinking that there was something about hearing in it, but there wasn't.
Kenny Rogers, man.
Yeah. But for some reason in my mind...
Kenny Rogers did a song called Just Dropped In. Have you ever heard it?
Uh-uh.
Makes no god... So Stephen King did a lot of coke and wrote Cujo.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers did a lot of something and wrote Just Dropped In. I've yet to be able to figure it out. Anyway.
Okay.
I like Kenny Rogers.
So that seems to have been book news for June 2019.
Not a bad
highlighted again by the birthdays, which are the part that Dalton wants to cut every time we make these videos.
Highlighted
Despite the
again.
fact that he refuses to do the work on his part of things and actually find books that are coming out, find book festivals.
This is the only acceptable month we can have June Books News, because in the birthday section there should be a minimum. That's not a word. I can't talk.
Addendum?
Addendum.
A minimum?
I tried to say aluminum, and then I wanted to give it the English aluminium.
Aluminium.
And it just came out aluminium. There should be a little footnote. June 2nd, Dalton Gentry. Happy birthday.
We will note that going forward.
I'm done. Would you please end this?
There's no way I'm going to remember that next year. So this has been book news for the month to be of June 2019. This is something we do monthly. We will be back tomorrow with a video of some other sort. We are here in 2019 uploading BookTube videos on the daily. So hit subscribe if you are ready for that while you're looking at me that way, Dalton. And if you'd like to help us create more content here on Strip Coverlet, there is a link, as always, to our Patreon to be found in the description below.